Appreciate you guys showing up. Just got through with basically a Wednesday practice. Even though today's Tuesday, we understand that, but just teaching our guys how we do game week, so to get them ready. So whenever we do hit it next week, they understand the process. We got a bunch of young guys that we've added to the program that are contribute a great deal. So want to make sure they understand how we go through our preparation piece. Had a great scrimmage last Friday night in Bobby Dodd Stadium on Grant Field on the new turf. Our grounds crew has painted the field. It looks awesome. I think the reveal is coming up sometime soon, but they've done a really good job, with the branding piece, and it's a great environment. The new lighting system is amazing. So all the upgrades that our athletic department has done in the offseason to make the experience the best that it can possibly be in all of college football for our players, first and foremost, for our fans, is going to be really impressive. They're installing the speakers, the sound system, but the last two scrimmages, we've made sure that we've practiced how we're going to do the in-game sound, how we're going to do the Jumbotron, all of the things, the lighting that is the in-game experience, so that our guys are ready, with limited capacities in Bobby Dodd, and obviously limited capacities when we go on the road. The more times we can simulate that environment for our guys, is going to be really good. The first scrimmage we had was mostly situational. We would just script what we would do, and we would play those things out. This past Friday night, it was kind of a split the sidelines, Waffle House sideline, Coca-Cola sideline, and we just played football. And any situations that we didn't get to or didn't get enough, we would simulate those later in the practice. So it was really, really good, but just day in and day out, I know we want to talk superlatives from the scrimmage. Want to talk guys that stood out, and one of the biggest pieces I thought in the first scrimmage was a little concerned about the way we tackled, especially in the open field. But Friday night our defense came out. Coach Thacker had the guys ready to play, and I think our leadership on that side of the ball, we tackled really, really well in space, especially relative to the first scrimmage. But just some guys that really stand out to me, day in and day out in this program, the way they work, the way they compete, how physical they are, how tough they are, is Jamin Brooks, Ryan Johnson, Jack DeFore, TK Chimedza. Make sure we get the pronunciation right. He makes me practice that probably 3 times a day. I think I got it right. But just the way they work every single day. They come out there. It's not – people don't see it, but the value that they bring to this football team, the physicality, the toughness, the way they respect each other is really impressive, and I'm very proud of them. I know there's been a lot that's going on in the country, a lot that's going on in the world. Really proud to be at an institution and be associated with an athletic department that since, everything that's been going on, even as early as May, the institution, the athletic department, our football program has been at the forefront of speaking out, making sure that we're something for positive change in this world, and just really proud. We had Black Lives Matter billboards up from day one. Our guys are committed to making a change in this country, making a change in our local community, and just really proud of Jalen Askew last week coming up here and just speaking his mind and sharing his thoughts. And I'm blessed to be associated with such a fine group of men every single day that come to work. They love each other. They work really, really hard. They're trying to build something very, very special here in Atlanta, and I can't think of a better group of men that I'm able to be associated with every single day. One of the other initiatives, and I see this a lot, and as we have conversations with our guys, is the action piece. What can we do to use our influence for action? What can we do to make statements for action? And I think one of the biggest things, and again, this goes back, I want to give a shout out to our men's and women's basketball programs, Eric Ravino, Josh Passner, beginning the initiative that's become a nationwide initiative in college athletics is the voting piece. and being at the forefront, we were the first athletic department that made sure that we gave our student athletes the day off to vote. And we did that even as a football program. In the original schedule, it was a Tuesday as we got ready to play Duke on game week. And you guys that have been around here, Tuesday is a big work day for us. We feel so strongly we want to make sure that we educate our guys on the voting process, make sure we're giving them the opportunity to exercise their basic right in this country to vote, and to make sure there's people that are representing them that have aligned values. And we do a great, Marco Coleman, Kevin Cohn, Leah Thomas do a great job of explaining that process to our guys and the rest of the student athletes as well, to make sure that we can, try to make a change. Now, as the new schedule has been released, that is actually our bye week now. So the Tuesday of the voting will actually be our bye week. And I know we're going to have a lot of guys, and myself included, that are going to volunteer over here at McCamish to make sure that we're engaged in the process, so that we can do those things. And I think that part about using your voice for action, the voting process is the main piece that we want to make sure we're educating our guys on. So with that, questions?
Okay, questions for Coach Collins. As we've done throughout, please use the raise hand function in Zoom. If you have a question, we'll call on people individually. And our first question today will come from Daniel Shirley from The Athletic.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Geoff, how is it when you face a new coaching staff in the first game? You guys have never – I know you didn't play Mike when he was at Memphis and you were at Temple. So how do you juggle that with a new coaching staff? Where do you look at film and those kinds of things?
Yeah, so obviously the personnel piece, you obviously start with the Florida State roster. And the first thing that pops off is just tremendous athleticism, size, speed. So the skill positions are some of the finest in the country. The defensive lineman is one of the best players in America. So you start with the personnel first, and then you go and look at where they've come from, where the coordinators have come from, and start working that way as well. But the personnel piece, you always have to start there, and then the schematic piece is how what they've done at other places translates into the personnel that they have. And obviously they've got a lot of really good pieces to work with. And just the thing, I didn't coach against Coach Norvell when we were in the AAC together, but in the crossover tape, was always impressed with how hard they played, the physicality, the culture, because they play really, really hard. So we understand that we've got a big challenge. Obviously, there's some unknowns, but I think the biggest thing is having base offenses, base defenses that we've repped hundreds of times versus every look imaginable. Just apply your rules to whatever scheme might pop up that might be some form of unknown. And one of the base premises in this culture is to play with ridiculous effort. And you have those kind of things, you have overlap on both sides of the ball.
Next question is from Justin Felder from Fox 5 here in town.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Geoff, I was actually going to ask about crowd noise, but we'll come back to that. You mentioned when you were talking about voting a moment ago, plans to volunteer on Election Day now that it's a bye week. I know you got 2 months to figure out the details, but what do you guys have in mind? Are you going to be, checking IDs at the poll, bringing pizzas? Like, what do you guys kind of have in mind for that?
Yeah, so Leah Thomas and our Total Person program, they do a great job coordinating those things. We're in discussions throughout this preseason on how we can be involved and in what manner. And so they do a great job with that piece. And so whatever we can do to be facilitators, we're all in to do.
Justin, if you'd like, you can go ahead and ask your other question.
Sure, thank you. I think made it official yesterday that piped-in crowd noise will be allowed at ACC stadiums. You mentioned practicing with that at the scrimmage. Are you guys definitely going to do that? And what was it like if you got to kind of simulate what it'll sound like?
Yeah, so two ways we've been doing it. We've been simulating it as a home crowd noise, and I'm not going to go into detail on how we're going to do that at home, but always it's going to be within the rules, but then making it really, really hard for our offensive players as they're getting ready to be in the away environment. And we change it up. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's piped in crowd noise, sometimes it's the band, and we just keep those on a cycle because you never know on an away game what that exact environment is, especially week one. So we're getting all those things, and we've practiced it almost every single day when we've been out here at practice. The cadence, the rhythm of when the music starts, when the music cuts off, and then some days, if the music and the playlist is really hitting really good, I'll just let it run the entire time to make sure the energy and the vibe is right during practice, which obviously we won't be able to do in the games. Unless it's a really good song, then maybe they'll let us keep going.
Next question is from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Geoff. I was curious kind of where you feel like the program is right now compared to a year ago in terms of just having guys ready, being able to have your system kind of where you want it to be year after year.
Well, sure. Well, I think, obviously that gets, there's a perception of what it is every single day. When we look at them in their eyes and we go out here and we work and we practice and we have them in meetings and all of those things, there's a lot of positivity within the program. They understand our culture. They understand our expectations. Everything has been elevated since that we've been here in every single one of those respects. And now it's the fine tuning of incremental details to be at the highest level possible. Obviously, when you go against an opponent, it gets even more real and you get to really see where some things might still need to improve or where things are that are really, really good. But I'm excited every single day that we get to come out here. We return so much production offensively and defensively. So many players are coming back that have played in our system. So when I say today is a Tuesday practice, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Today is a Wednesday practice. They know exactly what I talk about. Any tweaks or adjustments, it's not a wholesale change. That is just first time experiencing it. So you can make incremental tweaks to things. We've added some tremendous length and speed on this roster. The young guys have come in and picked it up really, really well. It's a different year, obviously, because normally when you come in, the freshmen, the signees come in early June, and you've got a whole time to build the mindset, and they're all working out together and they're all running together. We've not done that. So all the running workouts, the freshmen were by themselves. We had 9 cohorts spread out throughout the team. So the team really never practiced together until really well into the first week of training camp. And so that piece of it, we're still developing, but I think that's around the country, around college football, because every time we do get together, hey, make sure you're staying 6 feet apart, make sure your masks are on, make sure. So there is some kind of layers that we've got to continue to build upon in this new environment that we're all functioning in. But just really proud of the guys that are returning, how they have picked up where we left off after the 6th day of spring ball, how they've continued to develop this culture and our mindset and our effort and those kind of things, and then embraced the development of this really, really talented signing class we were able to bring in.
Sorry, next up we have Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
At least we know Mike Flynn's been paying really close attention to this press conference.
I was paying attention. I was just muted.
Hey, Geoff, good morning.
Hey, Rod.
I was wondering, your coordinators have been talking about trying to get as many players above the line for what lies ahead during the season. What have you seen from your freshman class, especially last Friday night, that maybe perhaps they can get involved in all this?
Yeah, there will be some names that you'll see above the line whenever we release that above the line depth chart. But I think this year, even more so than others in the past, every single person has to continue to develop, regardless if they're ATL at the beginning or they're not. The way we run our scout teams where we don't use cards, that is going to be a huge piece. It's already inherent in our culture. That's how we do things. But you never know in this how we're going to be able to play out this season. Guys might have to play a lot sooner than they normally would have in the progression. So that development piece, we've been making sure that they're all over that. We're trying to get as many ATL guys, above the line guys, as we can, and that's just inherent in our program regardless. But I think this year, even more so than in years past, there's got to be a lot of guys ready to go. And I think just by the standard way we run this program, the base philosophy of our program serves us well in this environment, more so than years in the past even.
Next up is Zach Klein from WSB TV.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you, man. During the regular season, when you practice, what days, I guess, are you working on the opponent? So if you mentioned today was a Wednesday practice, will you have worked on your opponent today? And I guess how much are you working on them versus you at this point of the regular season?
So there's a little thing. So we spent a lot of time the months that we were away from each other. So Ryan Horton is our director of applied science. He, myself, Pat Boyle, Lou Caralla, we sat down throughout the entire offseason when we were away from each other. What is the best way, based on science, based on data, the way we've run our program the last 3 years, what is the best way to structure a week to build to get ready for gameplay? We've made some tweaks. I'm not going to say all of them right now, but as they unfold, I'll kind of let that out. But changing how we've done things from the years past, because this year is going to be different. We use data, we use science, we use analytics on how we can structure the best possible game week to get guys ready to play on Saturday. Because what we found as we looked at data from even the last 10 years of places we've been, a lot of times in college football, a lot of programs gear up to get ready for Tuesday's practice. Well, we're trying to flip that and make sure we're getting ready to play on Saturday and to play at the highest level on Saturday. A little quick story today. Yesterday's practice, and the numbers aren't going to really mean much to you, but yesterday's practice, we were wanting to hit a 450 player load, which is the average player load for everybody on the team on aggregate, whatever. We went just under that. I think it was 448 was the number that we hit, so we hit the number. Today, we wanted to hit a number of 400, so we wanted to go hard yesterday, a little bit lighter today, then ramp it up again tomorrow at a 450 player load. We were about 65% through practice today, and Ryan calls up from the tower and says, hey, we're looking, if we keep going on our pace with what we've got left in practice, we're going to be well over the number. Well, we want to always follow data, always follow science. So we railed back to practice because we had done so much good work that we wanted to make sure we stayed with our number, and we hit a 397. And so those kind of things are huge. Trust factor with our players. Here's the way we want to attack this day. Here's the number that we want to hit each day, so that when we get ready to game time, we are ready to go at a full functioning as fast as we can possibly be. Our guys trust us. They know we're always going to trust the data, always going to trust the science, always going to trust the number, and the guys are committed to working really, really hard and giving great effort, knowing that we're always going to have their best interest at heart, so they play the fastest come game time.
Okay, we have time for a couple more for Coach Collins. We'll start with Jeff Schultz from The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. You touched a little while ago on, the limitations with COVID and, having to social distance and all that, even in practices and stuff. I'm just wondering, for a program like yours that's basically trying to, push reset and do things a different way, and just going into your second year, how much of a disadvantage is that for a program like yours, as opposed to if this was, semi-normal times?
Sure, and I never look at anything as disadvantages. These are the circumstances that we're in. How are we going to make the most of them? What we've done ever since late July, every time we've met as a team, we've got a beautiful team meeting room, right? I think it sits about $150 in the team meeting room. Well, we've got 120 guys on the roster and then 30 staff members. We can't all pile in there safely and social distance in that venue. So all of our team meetings have been in the north end of Bobby Dodd Stadium, in the stand, socially distanced. There's chairs that are 10 feet apart. They're set in a diamond formation so that we have complete distance. We wear masks, and we basically take up where the band sits, the student section, that whole area, and that's where we have our team meetings. Well, I'm big on connections, and our whole coaching staff is. There is a lack of intimacy when you're in that kind of venue. We use the Jumbotron in the south end zone. Todd McCarthy, our head video guy, plugged in our XO's computer video system to the Jumbotron so that we can watch film. So we watch practice film on the Jumbotron. We have our meetings that we normally have in an intimate setting in our team meeting room. Well, now we're having them in the north end zone of Bobby Dodd. So we're still getting our processes in place. The messaging, all of those things are really good, the bonds, but it is different. And we've got to embrace, we've got to be innovative, we've got to do the best things for the health and safety of our guys and be creative. How can we best still have our team meetings, still have our special teams meetings in the safest environment possible? And we're blessed to have guys that are people that are innovative, technologically savvy, so that we can hook up the Jumbotron in Bobby Dodd and still use our computer system to watch practice tape, to watch game tape, all of those things. But there is a slight disconnect, but our guys have been embracing, this is the environment that we're in right now. Let's make the most of it and let's get better.
Okay, we'll have one more from Ken Segura from the AJC for Coach Collins, and then we'll move on to our coordinators.
Hey, Geoff. I kind of want to follow up on that. I'm curious, at the beginning of camp, you were saying how you guys are using 2 locker rooms and splitting the team, and you mentioned the hoops. At this point, are you still trying to, like, what are things you're trying to do as far as like those sorts of things? And
So right now, we practiced just now. At the end, we had 2 lift groups that are finishing up right now. Wanye's over there dancing. We've got 2 lift groups that are finishing up. So there's 10 racks. There's 15 guys out there on the racks, 2 sets of it, so they're social distance. This group of 30 guys, now there's flow in the locker room. Before practice, we had 2 cohorts lift before practice. So they got out here, they got out of the locker room early, they got their lift in, and then they got ready. When practice was over, 4 other cohorts flexed and stretched while the 2 first lifting cohorts went back to the locker room and got changed and showered and got out. And then we dispersed them incrementally. And then now these 2 lift groups are finishing up right now. They'll head back. So that way we have spacing in the locker room. We still have our lockers spaced out by cohorts. So you shouldn't, if you come in with your cohort, you shouldn't be within 5 lockers of anybody else. So we're still having all of those things in play. Social distancing in the team meeting rooms, social distancing whenever we're on the sidelines. The little safety loops are still painted everywhere. On the sidelines for practice or for the scrimmages, we had dots that were set up every 2.5 yards, and they were spaced in a diamond formation on these sidelines so the guys know where to stand when they're on the sidelines. We had, you'll see when it comes game time, we had chairs in pods socially distanced on the sidelines, and we've practiced it the last 2 scrimmages. So when they come off and they're with their coaches, there's still a relative distance to have meetings on the sideline, all those things. So we're making sure that every single thing that we do, our processes, we still continue them in this environment. Most of the things that we do during practice are outside, or they're in the 88,000 square foot indoor facility. The guys are wearing splash guards. Every single player on the team is wearing splash guards on their helmets. A lot of the guys still have the visors. Some of the guys you'll see even mask up with those things going on as well. So the guys are handling it great. Our coaching staff, as I've always said, is absolutely amazing. In as trying of circumstances you could possibly be, the guys come to work, they have a great attitude, there's trust, there's love on both sides in both respects, and I'm just blessed to coach with the people that I'm blessed to coach with, and I'm blessed to coach the guys that I'm lucky to coach every single day. And, and 2 Saturdays we get to play an opponent, and just being in the tunnel with the guys and going out and play, and excited to see how far we've developed, how far we've come.